I want to talk about an update which I find to be intriguing when it comes to ICP. Now, what do I mean by this? Because even though nothing I say is financial advice, not too long ago, Dfinity, they made an announcement, right? And they were talking about how they unveiled a modular TypeScript library for canister interactions. Now, people might be thinking, like, who cares about that? Well, it actually allegedly streamlines on-chain development with tools that supercharge ICP's JavaScript ecosystem. So I think it's pretty cool when it comes to developers. And of course, JavaScript is very well known, right? It's very popular. So when I take a look at something like this, I do find it pretty intriguing in my perspective. Now, granted though, I mean, ICP is around that $3.50 range. Some people like to say, who cares about this? Well, maybe in the retail side of things, it won't really matter that much because the altcoin space isn't doing the best. But I think it could matter when it comes to developers because sometimes a lot of other projects out there, they don't really focus on the on-chain side of things, right? Where things are just fully on-chain. Sometimes a lot of projects out there don't really care about that. But when it comes to, something like Dfinity, it seems like they care about that aspect when it comes to the internet computer. So I do like seeing that when it comes to it. Not to mention as well, people like to say, oh, no one's really going to care about this type of stuff. Well, just kind of my perspective is this. Some other projects out there, they want like developers to use their like specific like programming language basically, right? But then at the same time, if we take a look at the internet computer, what I find pretty interesting is that it kind of doesn't limit like that where a developer has to learn a new programming language. It's basically, in some cases, they already kind of know about it, and then it's just more so kind of like they can just instantly start with something like that where they don't have this sort of, learning kind of phase where they have to understand this new programming language and then try to do it. Sometimes a lot of developers don't really want to go through that phase and they just want to start. So I do find it pretty cool that Dfinity even cares about stuff like this, whereas some other projects out there don't really care and just kind of limiting themselves like that. I don't know why some other projects do that, but yeah, besides that point, because for instance, if we take a look at ICP, we already know that they support multiple programming languages, right? Like for instance, of course, we know Motoko. Motoko is the, language that's basically been designed by Dfinity. But then of course, we take a look at other things like Rust, for instance, and also we take a look at supported through canister development kits, like for instance, in the case of TypeScript, Python, C++, Solidity, and we take a look at, the kind of the implications of Solidity and things regarding Ethereum. So that's pretty cool because that right there allows for EVM, or should I say Ethereum virtual machine based smart contracts. And that's pretty cool. And also on top of that, we take a look at JavaScript, and I'm also even talking about it right now. So when I take a look at that right there, it is pretty interesting because even if I take a look at it just overall, when it comes to Dfinity, having those options right there, I think makes it much more streamlined again for developers to actually kind of want to even take a look into something like the internet computer. Now, granted though, some people may be thinking, oh, but we take a look at Caffeine AI. Why do they really need to care about this type of stuff? Well, I think it could matter because some developers out there, they may not necessarily just want to use Caffeine AI, a self-writing apps platform. Sometimes they want to do kind of their own thing. You know what I mean? So I think seeing stuff like this, yeah, I find it pretty interesting to me. Now, granted though, I mean, when it comes to the internet computer, people like to say, no one really cares about it, but I actually still care about it because for me, I don't think I've seen an altcoin season. So if I don't think I've seen an altcoin season, how can I fully evaluate the cycle? That's my point of view. I mean, yeah, I get it though. Like when it comes to $100, ICP is around 28 times lower than that. But in my perspective, I didn't mind dollar cost averaging into ICP back when it was around $3.50. So seeing it as of right now, back at around $3.50 yet again, I'm not necessarily going to complain about that. And the thing is, when I saw ICP at around nearly $19 back in 2024, like at that point, I was just thinking, oh wow, like I couldn't believe at one point it was like around $3. Then it did that. Now, of course, it's back around $3 again. But in the meantime, though, if let's say there is a hypothetical recovery when it comes to the market or something like that, I do not want to not be a part of the journey. That's my point of view. So I'm still just dollar cost averaging and just waiting. And I guess that's pretty much about it. Now, in the meantime as well, a lot of other projects out there, they're kind of doing their thing. They're kind of having new updates. They're launching this, they're launching that, but nothing's really happening, right? In some cases, in terms of the price. Sometimes we see new listings. So when it comes to the internet computer, more specifically ICP, seeing what I'm seeing as of right now, like for instance, this kind of update that I'm talking about right here, when it comes to JavaScript, it would have been a pretty okay like narrative back, let's say in 2024, or even just like, 5 months ago or 6 months ago. But because the sentiment is different, it's not really cared about as much. But then I think sometimes if the market hypothetically does do something again, sometimes people take a look back at stuff like this. So this is why I don't think it's necessarily such a bad thing overall. I mean, in the short term, it's not really doing much in terms of the hypothetical price, but who knows maybe what it could do fundamentally for the project moving forward in terms of the perception of it. So just overall, I am staying patient because, yeah, that's all I can do. I'm going to have to wait and see when there's going to be an altcoin season, but as of right now, all I can do is, again, just wait, and that's all I'm going to do, actually. However, I want to take a moment to kind of talk about this update real quick. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's Billy the Captain. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.